know that you're seeing this a bit croaky this morning. But I just wanted to jump on live because I found some really, really fascinating research about why I feel like I've lost all track of time. So let me know if anyone here is experiencing this feeling like, you don't know what day it is, like months seem to be rolling into one, time seems to feel like it's going really, really fast, but also really, really slow. So really finding it hard to sort of grasp what day it is and sort of conceptualize time. My time in the day as well feels just be absorbed into one big lump. So let me know whether you're catching this #live or if you're catching this on the replay. And let me know if you are experiencing this as well at all. If you have sort of lost concept of time, because I feel like the last sort of 12 months, like I have no sort of reference points as to what's happened. My time seems to just roll into one. It seems to just disappear. It feels like it's going really, really fast, but it also feels like it's really, really slowed down, like very strange feeling. So I wanted to share today some research around why that is, what's happening with our brains right now due to the pandemic, due to lockdown, due to working from home, why we're experiencing this weird relationship with time. So do let me know if you're catching this live or if you're catching this on the replay, and let me know if you are experiencing this at all, or if it's just me. So this weird sort of relationship with time right now. So David Eagleman, who is a neuroscientist, he shared that the coronavirus lockdown restrictions, they've sort of affected our ability to estimate how much time has passed. So this is definitely something I'm struggling with. It feels like time is speeding up, but also it's really slow. So what he says is our brain judges duration by assessing how many memories it has, right? But as we've all been in lockdown, within like the same four walls day after day, our office, I'm using my office as an office, a studio. I used it as a yoga studio with Sophie on Sunday, which by the way was amazing. So if you haven't been to our Sunday yoga sessions at 10 a.m, do come. But I had my yoga mat and it's my reading nook to get away from everyone else in the house. And it's become everything. So David talks about how our brain judges duration by assessing how many memories it has, right? But since lockdown, we're in the same spaces. There's none of this transition time. There's none of this commuting from one place to the other. It's broken down our brain's ability to distinguish memories. So our recent memories are all just blurring together, making it difficult to assess how much time has passed. So do let me know if this is relating to you at all, because I've lost all concept of time and when things are. And he explains that that's because of the lockdown. We've got very little memories, and memories act as almost anchor points, like flags in the ground for us in terms of our time. So he explains that it's impacted our ability to forward think, to be strategic, right? Because the threat, and I've talked about this in the Thrive, if you've been on my Thrive challenge before, when there's lots of change and uncertainty going on, our brain signals that we're at threat, right? Because there's so many unknowns, there's so many uncertainties, it says, oh, this is dangerous. And our threat mode goes up, which means we become uber focused on the threat and we become quite narrow-minded. So he explains that this is what's happening around us when we feel fear, or we're experiencing financial worries or whatever it is. when that happens, we can't think forward. We can't be strategic in our thinking because we're so narrow-minded on the threat. And he explains that from a, caveman theory point of view, when we're worried about food, shelter, water, and in the modern world, money, we can't think very far forward. So, I explain this as well in the Thrive Challenge, that obviously it's because these immediate needs become our brain's sole purpose, right? We become quite panicked in our need to make sure that we have those basic needs. So we can't think forward. We don't have clarity, right? It becomes really blurred to see ourselves forward, to create plans, to get that clarity. And that's what a lot of my clients at the moment are really, really struggling with, this sort of uncertainty fog that's almost creating this wall, this barrier that they can't push past. It's this block, this sort of creative block that they can't see through, which is really, really interesting. So Chetna King, who's a consultant psychiatrist at Nightingale Hospital, London, she explains that the uncertainty and fear means that we're in a constant state of worry, and worrying gets us busy doing nothing, right? So it's a really unproductive space to be in because it can make us catastrophize. Right? So when we're in heightened levels of threat, when we're in heightened levels of worry, our brain's creating this uncertainty fog, this block. We can't think creatively. We can't get the clarity that we so want in terms of where we want to go, our career direction, and we can catastrophize because of the uncertainty is sort of fueling this worry. So this can be fueled by the people around us as well. And I've talked about this again in the Thrive Challenge. You are there's a saying that you are the average of the 5 people around you. You are very, very much influenced by the people around you. So when we're in stressful situations like a pandemic, it's easy to get caught up in sort of the collective consciousness of fear, right? That lockdown is creating, or if it's not fear, of worry or stress or frustration, we really pick up on the emotions of others. We are affected by other people's attitudes. And there was actually, I think it's 40 human beings pick up on another human being's emotions. Like it's like 40th to 1,000th of a second. Like we are very, very in tune with how other people feel, and we absolutely absorb that. And that's especially the case if you are in a position of power, like you are a leader, a manager, if you are a parent. You are particularly contagious when it comes to others feeding off your emotions and often absorbing those emotions. So it's incredibly powerful in terms of the people around us. And their emotions. It's why I talk so much about managing stress for leaders, managing stress, managing our emotions, having a calm practice, putting these things in place, because you are contagious. It's a very, very, your people, your children, your partner will be very, very much picking up on you. But it also means that we are absorbing other people's attitudes and emotions around us. We need to be really, really careful about who we're surrounding ourselves with, so that it's not fueling this worry, which is creating these blocks, which is not allowing us to sort of think forward and strategically and be creative and so on. So the lockdown is obviously, we all are very, very aware, I think, that it's a stressful situation for many, some more than others. And when we're looking after our mental well-being, it means we have more resilience. And often when we talk about mental well-being, people are like, oh, I don't have a mental health issues. I don't have issues there. Or, they see self-care as quite indulgent, whether they know that consciously or subconsciously. It becomes this indulgent thing. So often my clients are either like, oh, I don't really have time, or they're just like, oh, even if it's about sort of buying themselves something, they're a bit like, oh no, you shouldn't really waste money on that. So it becomes this sort of self-indulgent thing. But what we know about stressful situations and thriving in these moments, being able to step up as leaders, as managers, as parents, we know that your mental well-being is a key to that, not only for yourself and having that resilience, but you are also incredibly contagious. So if you're not looking after your stress, if you're not looking after making sure that you have a calm practice so that you're not going into that threat high stress mode, you're going to be passing that on to the people around you. So we want to build that resilience. So interestingly, both David Eagleman and what's his name, Chetna Kang, have two slightly different pieces of advice about how we can make sure that we're building this resilience. How can we make sure that we're sort of we're showing up as our best selves and being there as leaders and managers, but also amongst friends and families and so on. So David Eagleman stresses the importance of keeping our brains active and engaged, right? So he talks about your brain, that they often thought previously that that your brain up to a certain age, it just formed itself and that was it. There was no learning opportunity, there was no sort of growth or development. And actually what we know about the brain now is that it's very malleable. It's something called neuroplasticity, and it basically means that your brain is constantly rewiring new information. So it's like they talk about plasticity, right? You can mold it. It's constantly molding. And he actually talks about that being a really, really healthy way to keep our brains engaged, keep it creative. So the more we continue to challenge our brains, challenge ourselves, the more we continue to learn and develop our skills well into old age. Actually, they've shown that those who do have this sort of practice, who do have this mentality, have far healthier brains, are less likely to suffer from dementia. There's lots and lots of research that goes into showing how challenging your brain, learning new information, is a really, really effective way of keeping your brain sort of alert. So he talks about a really, really important thing is to get our brain to seek novelty. Okay, so the brain is obviously always seeking familiarity, right? It needs familiarity. It doesn't like uncertainty. It doesn't like unknown. So it's going to constantly want us to get back to normal. But he's talking about needing to find this middle spot between novelty and familiarity. So it's important to keep routines during this time, but also seek new things that you can do. Whereas Chang talks about really looking after our mental health. So having a practice in place that's about having a practice in place. So she talks about focusing on the things that you do have control over, right, to achieve a positive mindset and protect your mental and physical health. So focusing on the things you do have control over, and the importance of self-care, right? The importance of taking care of uncertainty early, she talks about. So she suggests pursuing activities that bring about stillness and quiet. So you see the slight disparity between, but there is value in the paradox. There's value in both engaging in new material, in sort of challenging your brain, keeping it engaged, and also bringing stillness and quiet. So through things like meditation, mindfulness, yoga, tai chi, a walk in nature, any of these things will really, really help to calm your brain and bring stillness to it. So again, if you haven't done yoga before, Sophie's sessions on Sunday, every Sunday at 10 a.m. are really, really great, and the details are in the group, so do come along to that. So just to finish off, Kang talks about all of these things help to slow us down and quieten the mind. So it's very nourishing, and it's on a biochemical level, both from a very spiritual and sort of psychological point of view. So two sort of very, very opposite ends of the spectrum, a neuroscientist and a psychologist, psychiatrist. So really, really interesting two concepts there about sort of looking after our brains in this period, why we're feeling like time is sort of running away from us, and weirdly just sort of mushed into one, right? It feels like everything's going really fast, but also really slow. So two different pieces of advice there, but I think incredible in balance. So the learning and challenging your brain, doing new things, engaging in new things, being careful with who you're surrounding yourself with from a sort of mental health point of view, because you're going to be absorbing all of those attitudes and that energy, and that self-care piece, you know, helping your brain to find stillness, whether that's in nature or mindfulness or yoga or wherever that is. So I found it really interesting. I hope you did too. Let me know if this is relating to you at all in any way, and I'll link up some of the research so you can explore that if you want to. Otherwise, take care and I'll catch you soon.